In this lesson, we're going to look at ways we can optimize our bitmap images while still keeping our Flash file size manageable. We have two ways of doing this, and the first one we're going to look at is through the Properties dialog that opens from the Library panel. Open the library and locate the greenball.jpg file that we imported in the last lesson. Double-click on its icon, and you'll get the Properties dialog. Here we have some control over the export settings, and we can do this individually for each bitmap image in our document. If you make a habit of doing this yourself for each image, you'll be able to find the best balance between file size and image quality. So let's look closer at these settings. The first choice here is Allow Smoothing. This will use anti-aliasing to smooth bitmap edges, and it may result in a better looking image. In my experience, it doesn't affect the exported file size very much, but as with every setting that we make in here, apply a change, hit the test button, and then look down at the bottom at the compressed value. At the moment this is 12.3 kilobytes, which isn't too bad. Turn off Allow Smoothing, hit Test, and it doesn't change. So that's okay. The more important area here is under Compression Type. Now, I've mentioned it before, but now is a really good time to reinforce it. Generally, lossless is best for images with areas of flat color and sharp edges between colors. Photo, on the other hand, is best for things like photographs, which generally have gradual changes in color across the image. Using the photo setting will often result in smaller file sizes, but you'll also experience a drop in image quality. Now, if you select Photo, you'll see a checkbox just below it. And this gives us the option to use the imported JPEG's original compression settings when we export our Flash content. This is because a JPEG will already be compressed. If you want to optimize it further though, just deselect this and you'll get a quality control. We can drop in a value from 0 to 100, and this is similar to the quality settings you get when you export JPEGs from image editors, such as Adobe Photoshop. Now, if you haven't spent much time optimizing images for the web before, my best advice here is to experiment. Over time, you'll become used to the way this works. Each time you make a change, hit the test button and have a look in the preview window for the image quality, which at the moment is not very good. Also, look at the information down at the bottom. So I'll turn this back up from 20 to say 60. Test it. And our file gets bigger, not by much though. But the more important thing is that our image looks even better. Again, the best thing to do is to experiment. Make changes, test it, check file size, and repeat. Okay, we've imported a JPEG here. However, if you've imported an uncompressed bitmap, or copied and pasted something in from, say, a web page, this checkbox will be different. I've also included in the work files an uncompressed bitmap version of the greenball graphic. It's called greenball.bmp. Let's import that. There it is. And do the same thing. Go to the Properties. And this time we see the option Use Document Default Quality. And here is where you find a very important file size reduction opportunity. The document default quality that this is referring to is a global setting and will affect every image for which this checkbox is selected. Let's have a really quick look at it now. Choose File and Publish Settings. The setting in question is under the Flash tab about halfway down. If you don't see the Flash tab, go to the Formats tab and make sure that Flash is selected here. Now, let's have a look at this quality setting. For all imported bitmaps for which you've selected the photo compression method and document default, this setting will control the compression. That's good. It's nice and easy to control a whole bunch of compression settings from one place, But the problem with it is that every image will have the same compression settings. This may be okay for small projects or if file size isn't a big concern of yours. But really, I'd suggest taking the few extra steps necessary to adjust compression settings for each bitmap you include in your document. Every picture is different and responds differently to compression. By tailoring the compression to each image, you might be able to save a significant amount of file size and still retain good image quality. And that's it for this lesson. Let's go on to the next one.